Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings.
Today's podcast is sponsored by SLI Systems, providers of intelligent site search and navigation solutions. Learn more at sli-systems.com and listen to their interviews at ecommercepodcast.com. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast focusing on e-commerce topics featuring interviews with prominent people in the e-commerce space.
Well, welcome to another edition of E-Commerce Conversations by Practical E-Commerce. My name is Kerry Murdoch. Our topic today is the use of video to assist e-commerce merchants. We suspect many merchants are curious about video. They're wondering if video can help them sell more products. And to help us sort all this out, we've invited Rick Martin, who is the CEO of Sellpoint.com, to join us today. Sellpoint is a provider of video product tours to assist online merchants. And Rick, we want to thank you for your time today, sir.
Well, thank you, Kerry. It's great to join you today.
Thank you. Rick, my first question for you is, does video help merchants actually sell products?
Well, it absolutely does. You know, this is something that we've been at for a number of years, and we've seen that video can be very helpful. And when I say video, I should mention I'm really talking about rich media product presentations. It often can be video, but it also can be, high-resolution photographs and other material. But what we've seen is that it certainly increases engagement of shoppers. It also increases conversion rates at the online point of sale. And then finally, we think it really increases retention when we are able to provide shoppers on your site with all the information they may be looking for and keeping them from clicking away to another site to answer a question they may have.
Okay. I know your company, Rick, Sellpoint.com, one of the products you provide is called Active Product Tours. Could you tell us a little bit about Sellpoint, a little background on Sellpoint, and describe the Active Product Tours to us?
Absolutely. The Active Product Tour is really our signature product, and what it is a little, think of it as a little capsule of information that includes either video or high-res product photography, combined with things like printable material, owner's manual, sell sheets, sales collateral. And what we do is we create these on behalf of manufacturers, and then we syndicate the links to these out to our online merchant network, and they appear as a little graphical button, typically right next to the product picture on the online product page. And when a shopper chooses to click and view, they provide the information, and it can be everything from a very extensive 6 or 7 minute video with actors and environmental shots and voiceover, all the way down to something as simple as a 360 view of a product with the ability to zoom in and out and look closely and see feature call-outs on the product.
Our listeners, of course, are mainly e-commerce merchants. Does Active Product Tours, does that cost them anything?
It doesn't at all. And our business model is that our work is entirely funded by the manufacturers or the vendors to most of the listeners here. And we provide all this content at no charge to merchants, really large and small, In fact, the majority of the merchants in our syndication network are smaller merchants that sell branded products from one of the manufacturers that we work with.
How does a merchant know, Rick, a merchant listening to this that sells a line of branded products, how does a merchant know if his products is in your syndication network? If I said
Sure.
That correctly.
Well, there are a couple ways. First of all, we encourage any of the merchants to simply ask your vendors. One of the things that we feel is pretty important about this is that vendors or manufacturers really increasingly are making this kind of content available. So the first thing is simply check with your vendors and see if they have this kind of content available. Secondly, you can check our site, and by the way, we are sellpoint.net rather than the .com. And but we have no problem. And but we have a listing of several manufacturers and brands on our website, or you can simply send us an email. We have an email address. It's network@sellpoint.net, and we'd be happy to respond to any request and look over a particular website and see if we have content that may be available.
That's network@sellpoint.net.
That's correct.
Okay. And I misspoke on the URL for your site, again, which I apologize. The URL is, for our listeners, is sellpoint.net. Let me ask you this, Rick. There are, as you know, dozens and dozens, hundreds actually, of shopping carts, shopping cart platforms. Does your product link with all of the platforms and shopping carts out there?
Well, it does, or I should say it can. What we do is when we work with an online merchant, we begin by creating a frame, if you will, that goes around the product tours that's customized to match the look and feel and colors and so forth of the merchant. And then we have different options, and these are all options that are up to the merchant. We can either integrate a buy button into the product tour, which links directly to their shopping cart. We can do the same with a send to a friend option, which, when a shopper clicks it, it sends out an email with a link back to the merchant's product page, along with the merchant's logo and some information about the product. And those are all options that are we leave up to our merchant partners to decide how they'd like to use the product tours.
Hosted solutions, larger ones such as Yahoo stores, that's not a problem?
Not a problem at all. We work with several of the kind of shopping aggregator sites. Although I should say most of our focus is on the actual merchant site. The merchant that's got a buy button, but we certainly do syndicate to a lot of the aggregation sites.
Rick, I was on your site yesterday in preparation for this conversation, and sellpoint.net is the site, and I noticed a statement there on your homepage. It says, proven to increase sales both online and in-store. Now, that reminded me of a separate conversation I had with a contributor that we have that's a conversion expert, and this contributor essentially challenged me to produce statistics that said video actually increases the conversion rate, the purchase conversion rate. Do you have metrics, or do you have numbers that would support your claim on your site, proven to increase sales?
Well, we certainly do, and we also know that several of the listeners here who have an online site use some kind of analytics to track other decisions they make on their site and can verify the results themselves. We've done studies with third-party analytics companies. Primarily, we do work with Coremetrics. And when we get a willing online merchant and they use their analytics programs to track the impact of our product tours, we have consistently seen an uplift in actual conversion rate, and not just hitting the buy button, but completed purchases online. And in our case, it's been between about 12 and 30% increase in the conversion rate. And we did a test last fall that looked at over 2 million page visits. And what we did was we tracked those people who came to a product page and chose to view a product tour and then ultimately either bought or didn't, versus those who came to the same product page and chose not to view a tour. And but we tell all of our merchant partners to use their own analytics tools, whatever they have in place. We're happy to work with them to facilitate that. But we've been told by many of our retail partners that they see a meaningful increase.
Okay. Rick, our listeners, of course, just to repeat myself, our listeners are e-commerce merchants, mainly smaller e-commerce merchants. Anything else on your mind that you'd like to say to them as it relates to Sellpoint or Rich Media in general?
Well, I guess the one thing I would say is that whether you're a large or a small merchant, if you look at your online site the same way that you would look at in-store merchandising, the elements are really very, very similar in terms of engaging shoppers when they come to your site, providing the information that they need to increase engagement and sales. Whether or not you work with a company like ours or whether you choose a different method, one of the things we've seen consistently is when you've got an engaging merchandising on your online site, shoppers stay longer, they're more likely to buy, and we believe also less likely to return a product if they get a complete picture up front of exactly what they're shopping for.
Okay. Well, to repeat, the site is sellpoint.net. That's sellpoint.net. The email address for questions would be network@sellpoint.net. And Rick Martin, CEO of Sellpoint, I want to thank you for your time today, sir.
Well, thank you so much, Gary. It's a pleasure to talk with you, and best to you and the listeners.
Thank you so much.
That's all the time we have for this week's e-commerce conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. Please tune in next week for another new episode.